On your slots journey, have you ever ventured into a high limit room? If you haven't, how do you feel about it? Scary, right? And that's okay. Having a gut check the first time you consider entering a high limit slots room is natural. It's a good thing. We'll talk more about that reluctance and when, if ever, you might get over it. And of course, I'll be taking your questions because this is a live stream. I'm only saying that because, of course, the people who are here live now no, it's a live stream, but you might be watching this after the fact. Hello to you watching this recording. Thank you for being here and be sure to subscribe for notifications so you can have your questions answered the next time I do one of these. But either way, stick around and I'm sure it will be of value to you even if you are watching this after the fact. But those of you who are here live, thank you so much. If you have a question, please use hashtag question. That's so I can be sure to spot your question to me instead of comments in the live chat to each other. After all, this is also a community video where friends check in with each other about how their slots play has been going lately and what's the weather like and hey, there's a holiday coming up and what are your plans and barbecues and all that. So please do add hashtag question. And in fact, I'll add that as a banner across the bottom of the screen if if you can see that on a small phone or something, whatever you're watching on. The first time I walked into a high limit slots room was back in 2004 when I had 6 days of winning on a $1 denomination machine, including 13 hand pays, but more importantly, around 61,000 wins. I tried to keep track by writing little hash marks on my palm, but ended up running out of room. A lot of palm space, is that a word? Was taken up with initially trying to keep track of my hits under $1,000. Gave up on 25, the cherries, very fast. But then, the $100, the 250, the 500, the 750, and eventually I was just like, just mark the thousands. Anyway, in the middle of those 6 glorious days, after I'd had gotten hand pays and a smaller jackpot, I went looking for the high limit room at that casino on the way out. And I had my $3,000 I just won in only a few minutes from my $500 bankroll. So I chose a, and please forgive my ignorance here. I chose $100 denomination machine at random and lost the entire $3,000. On the way home, I tried to console myself that I'd only lost my original $500 bankroll. But of course, we now know that wasn't true. I lost $3,000. I mentioned this, my first high limit experience, to share that there are reasons high limit slot machines are scary. One of those reasons can be explained with a baseball analogy. Do, do you work for a company that has a baseball game charity event every year? So you've gotten behind home plate and swung at and batted a baseball to the outfield? Me too. And do you know what a ringer is? Well, there I was standing at home base, ready to, you know, win at a baseball thrown by a pitcher when smack, he did. It had landed in the catcher's mitt, and I barely saw the ball. The opposing team had brought in a company employee who'd played minor league baseball. That was his fastball. I can hit baseballs, thrown by pitchers, but I have to learn how to hit this pitcher's fastball. It's timing and I was shocked and all of that. So that's what it's like with high limit slots. You have to adjust your reflexes, your bankroll, your gameplay to win. First, let's say your bankroll for low limit slots is $300 and you make $1 bets. Okay, that's 300 bets, and you can win something from that. With a dedicated preserving game gains strategy and winning slot strategies that work at your casino, you can go home with that $300 bankroll and another 50% in profit. So another over another $150 over your $300 bankroll, and that's a great day. In the high limit slots, that's an average day, actually. In the If you use my strategies in the high limit room, all that needs to be scaled up. If you want to make $1 bets, okay, uh, um, if you want to make if where am I at? If you want to make one credit bets on a $10 denomination machine, your low limit $1 bets become 10 times that. $1 bets become $10 bets. To make the same 300 bets, that makes your $300 bankroll scale up to 10 times that, to $3,000. That's just the reality of the high limit room. My error back in 2004 was not realizing that I had to scale up. I got messages I have to, like, move out of the way. Thanks. Uh, uh, so, I hadn't scaled up, and when I went from a $1 denomination machine to a $100 denomination machine, I didn't need $3,000. I needed $30,000 to have a reasonable chance to win a small hand pay of around $30,000, right? If you win $300 with your $300 bankroll, it's roughly the same. And if you can do it like twice and with what you spent, that's a good day. And so on a $100 machine, try to get your mind around this. On a $100 machine, you take in $30,000 and you hope to win $30,000, and then maybe leave with an additional $15,000 to have a 50% profit. But some people, I went in with $3,000, 1/10 of what I needed to have a chance, a reasonable chance. So it's like you go into the casino with a $300 bankroll and winning $300 before spending all your bankroll. If it's in the first bets you make, you've doubled your money. If it's near the end of your bankroll, you've broken even, and all the other possibilities. But going into a high limit room with only, say, $1,000 is like playing low limit slots with only $100. On low limits, try to find minimum 30-cent bets on penny machines, or better yet, because the odds are better, minimum 45-cent bets on nickel machines. And maybe you'll get lucky. That's the exact same feeling. That's the same likelihood of success you'll get in a high limit room with a $1,000 bankroll. Better find a machine you can make $5 bets on. I don't mean a $5 denomination machine unless it has one credit bets, but like a $2 machine where you can, try to find something that you can make $5 bets on. And it might not even be in the high limit room, because is that even a high limit machine? But with rising costs of casinos and their increasing minimum bets, do they even have one credit $5 denomination machines anymore? I'm sure they're somewhere, but are they at your casino? So having a fear of entering a high limit room is natural, just as it is to stand at home plate during a minor league game. You can do it, but you have to be prepared. You can do it. Sorry. Yeah, just pictured a movie in my head. You can do it, but you have to be prepared. Are you ready? Do you have a plan? Having a plan, have a plan if you want to enter a high limit room. Consider the low limit machines out on the casino floor as throwing ball in the backyard with your father or a few friends. If you eventually want to play high limit slots, low limit slots are practice. Figure out what works at your casinos. Make a checklist and try every one of my slot strategies to see which one works. If more than one works, figure out which one works the best. Do the work. Practice. And once you have a plan, guess what? High limit slot rooms won't be scary anymore. Your body knows when you are in danger, and feeling fear is how you know. It's a gut feeling, it's instinct, and it goes away when you are no longer in danger. And the key to high limit slots is to have a plan. You may still get stuck out at the plate because you may still get struck out at the plate because you still need practice. But just like walking into a casino for the first time, and we all remember how scary that was, eventually we get comfortable. And we get more comfortable once we know what to expect, and even more comfortable when we have a plan. A plan that helps us win. It's the same way with high limit slots. Sorry. My voice is a little rough from all the talking I've been doing lately. So it's the same way with high limit slots. Don't rush it. If you want to visit it someday, get ready for it. That's what I did. Some other time, I'll talk about what it's like to win a $27,000 hand pay, how it how it leaves you feeling. If you give a full-throated scream when you win a 1,200 when you win a $1,200 hand pay, what happens to you if you're in the high limit slots room and you win $20,000? I don't know. Maybe maybe you'll explode. If you win a jackpot just over the hand pay limit, consider that you're going to need to scream 10 times harder, 10 times louder later. So keep it down. Leave yourself somewhere to go. If you have a question, use hashtag question. That's so I can be sure to spot your question to me instead of comments in the live chat to each other. And now let's see what questions we have. I my voice is a little rough. I have my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network Zoom group meeting tonight in 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours after we should be over here. And I'm not, my voice is a little rough, so I'm a little bit worried, but that's okay. So let's see if you have any questions just yet. um, um, oh, a comment. No $5 pint to black. No $5 denomination single credit slots in Southern California casinos, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I want to try to find the lower limit of what's needed to go into a high limit room. In some casinos, you can take $1,000 because they do have one credit $5 denomination machines. But like, we had a not a podcast. That's something else I'm working on. Because of we talked about this in a previous live stream about the rising cost of casinos, and one of the things that they're doing is just kind of edging out people who have the low end of bankrolls, the $100. It's when you have 80-cent bets, $1 bets minimum, 88 cents. It's really hard to have less than 100 or just over 100 bets. And you use it, it's gone. And that's that feeling, that limitation is exactly what it's like when you take $1,000 to the high limit room. Like, what do I even play? I mean, then that's, I've talked about how my 5 spin method is a cheap way to win if your casino has it. And go practice out in the low limit area with minimum bets to see if they have it, and then get it sorted out. And then if they do have it, then make your normal bets. But one of the things that you can do is go to the high limit room, because that's a plan. Not just to go to the high limit room, to do the other two things first. And then that's a plan you've practiced, and then consider going to the high limit room if you can afford to do so. But that might be possible with a $500 bankroll. That's what I used to use, but that's the casino has been raising the minimum bets, and I would make maximum bets whenever I could, but I'd reduce the denomination to $5 or $10. And I, I admit I would play a $100 machine, but that was more of a different plan we talked about before. Question from Mr. Boulevard. Say the bet you're doing is $1 on a machine. How much do you play before you decide to walk away? So I have this tough love approach, which is make 10 bets. And if you don't win anything at all on those 10 bets, if it's zero, leave it. Now, that's why I call it the tough love method, because a lot of people are like, well, maybe no. 10 bets. If it isn't providing, leave. Tough love. Say it out loud. Everybody say it out loud. But if you do get a win, any win at all, go to 20. Go to 20 bets and then evaluate. You have to get a win in the first 10. Doesn't matter what it is, 10 cents. But at least it's something. If it's nothing at all, move on. But if it's something, make another 10 bets so that you have 20 total. And that's when you go, is it enough? Is it enough for me to want? This is where you evaluate. This is where you say, I think this is a winning machine. No, I don't mean that you think, well, it could still be a winning machine, even though it didn't. No. Tough love. Tough love. Say it out loud. Tough love. If you get enough to say, pretty good. Chuck, who is on the Saturday, who just sent me an email. I haven't read his casino trip report from Missouri, and I might see him tonight. A lot of people's schedules are turned around for Memorial Day. We did this together at Ameristar in St. Charles, a riverboat casino in Missouri, and I'm like, what do you think? We just did 10 bets. There was a bonus round, and then which made money, and then we went another 10 just to demonstrate this to him, and we got another bonus round, and so we had 2 bonus rounds and 20 bets. And I said, what do you think? Do you think that this is good enough to continue? The 20 bet criteria, is it worth it? Or do you think, nope, not good enough, doesn't satisfy me, this is not what I would consider a winning machine, which is it? And I thought, 2 bonus rounds, that's great. And he thought, no, 3 would have been better. 3 would have been better, but 3 would have been enough for him to continue to play. And for me, I was like, well, I thought 2 was pretty good, but so it's your decision. Is it good enough to play? And then from there, make another 30 bets, evaluate it again when it's 50 total bets. So after 10, and then another 30, you're up to 50 bets. At that point, it's again, tough love. Has it been paying out like you thought it might? Because at 20 bets, has it achieved that? If it hasn't, you're out of there. But if it has, tough love. But if it has, then you're like, okay, all right. So tentatively, I'm still considering this a winning machine. Let me do another 50 bets to be a total of 100 bets. And again, tough love. If you didn't win enough, you're out. But if you, baseball analogy is coming back to get me. But if you are satisfied with that win, then you continue on. And that's the end of my evaluating a machine, just up to 100 bets. And you can stop at 20 or stop at 10, stop at 20, stop at 50, stop at 100. But after that, you have to go, well, I'm just here. I'm on a winning machine. I've evaluated as a winning machine 3 times at 20 bets, 50 bets, 100 bets, and then you just go. And of course, if it turns into a losing machine, that's another criteria. Maybe you lose, that's what loss limits are for, right? I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to say loss limits, pick among the options in your loss limit plan. And that's what that's for. Okay. Well, kind of a long answer, but I wanted to be detailed. Collins Gang. If it was a serious question, Collins Gang, it would have had hashtag question. How do casinos actual? How do we mean actual? So if you are in a, let's start with a convenience store. If you're in a convenience store with 5 slot machines, and if they truly are slot machines and not connected to the state lottery, where the central server is deciding all that. Well, I suppose it works for that. It's just that the central server in those cases often doesn't care. I have a video coming out later this week about Illinois' video lottery terminals in bars and taverns, and they really don't care about the individual bars and taverns. Where in Ohio, they have a lottery system for the racetracks with slot machines where the casino gets a say. So they adjust the odds. I mean, you've been there. You've seen it. And so it's repeatable, and, it's still gambling. I experienced it not being gambling. I would go in, get money. No, that's my time. All right, I'm out. And it was like going to an ATM machine. How boring was that? So it can work. It can be a bad day because of the rain. It could be a good day because it's, whatever's going on. There's a horse race or something, at a racetrack. So you have to monitor how things are going. And they know. I mean, they knew on the Las Vegas Strip 4 years in advance that the NFL draft was going to be on Las Vegas Boulevard. And so what happened? How did they plan? Well, Palms opened that week. Major things. Well, we got 4 years of plan. They anticipate what's going to happen with what's coming up, and they schedule their odds. They don't do that at convenience stores or casinos because it's cost extra, and they don't have access to that sort of thing. So when a slot tech tells you there's no such thing, he can't find it. It's not part of his job. Otherwise, every slot tech in the world would know about this. And it's just like, do we have to tell, the slot manufacturers, like, do we have to tell the slot tech? No, just have them connect the cable. Okay. So, but yes.
Sorry, could you say that again? Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Okay. Oh, I had Siri ask a question, but it wasn't slots related, so I, shut her down. Let's see. I have questions. Okay. Make sure it's hashtag question, otherwise you're chatting with each other, and I'm not going to interrupt that. Been cheated, 25. Okay, interesting. Sure, I'm sure there's a story there. I recently played high limit slots at Belterra Park. Yay! I spent so much time doing that and couldn't get the 5-spin method to work. Does that mean they no longer have this 5-spin method? I was there about 3 weeks ago, and they do. But I had also gone there for after they reopened, after the rebuilt, for a year and a half. And they were starting out with $10,000 or more hand pays for the 5-spin method. And then 6 months later, it was down to $5,000 hand pays or $1,200 hand pays. It's all in my notes for this. And then a year and a half later, I felt bad about it being $500. Oh, where's the $10,000 hand pays? On the other hand, it does make a monthly car payment and all the gas I would need for the month and the next month and maybe the next month too. And gas was cheaper then. So they have brought it down. I was there, and you can go to my website and look under reviews. Let me show you that. So where are we at? There. And I will show you my article on Professor Slots, and we will go to, easiest way here is to go to reviews, and one of the things I did not do was make my mouse bigger so you can see it even on a small phone. And so let me quickly do that. And great. So here on professorslots.com is reviews. And under reviews is, well, you might be interested in Miami Valley Gaming if you're at Belterra Park. This is the trip that I was telling you about with Chuck to Maristar St. Charles in Missouri, and then Pittsburgh, Belterra Park. So there it is. And that's an article with a video on YouTube. And basically, I explain what's going on in Ohio. I explained that Belterra Park, and this is probably what's going on. This thick line. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger for you. This is the return statistics from the beginning of 2021, and Belterra Park, out of all of the casinos in Ohio, is the lowest. It kind of tied back last year in March, but more than a year ago. Otherwise, it's been the lowest, and that's probably what's going on. All of the in this it talks about this, but I won't go into it too much here. There are 4 casino resorts, which are actually casinos without racetracks, and they have table games and all of that. Then there's the racetracks that have slot machines only, and there's 7 of those. And the casinos up our resorts are all number 1, and the all have the best returns, and then the racetracks with slot machines all have the worst returns. But of them, Belterra's has the worst returns in Ohio, and have had it since the beginning of last year. It's actually longer than that, but and it's basically goes back to when Boyd Gaming bought it, and that's what happens when Boyd Gaming didn't buy it; somebody else bought it, and they hired Boyd Gaming to run it. So Boyd Gaming isn't the owners; it's some other people who don't know how to run casinos. So they got an operator to run it, and they just make everybody pay. It's going to ruin their reputation, but apparently they want the money, and so that's what happens. Anyway, I did spot a couple of machines under not the 5-spin method, but there's a couple of machines that I talk about here, which you can read it for yourself. I don't want to spoil alert, where the location works pretty well. And outside of the high limit room, there's 2 of them, 2 machines, and I did pretty well on one of them. And the other one, not so much, but it wasn't bad. It was just sort of like break even. So I talk about that, and you can go find those pretty clear about where they are. So yeah, the 5-spin method is 2 things, and not one thing. It's 2 things. One is, does it or does it not give out wins? And when I was there, it was giving me wins, and they weren't bad. It was about the amount that I was betting, which is better than like 10 cents at MGM Grand Detroit. I believe, right? And so it was like, I still have memories of these paying out, hugely. But now they brought it down. But it's better than a lot of places I've gone where the return is kind of, breaking even or a little bit better. So did that happen to you? Did you get tastes, but the returns were bad? Because when the returns are bad, that just is temporary. That's something that's on a schedule. That's something they can turn up and they can turn down. And the time that you went is mark it on your calendar as a time when it's down. So, you can go to the casino, find a time when it's turned up. Now I found specifically at Belterra Park, that it was easier to win more when the machines had been idle the longest, which I found with Ohio's church crowd, that they would come in after church. And so 11:30, 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning was the longest period when most machines were played the minimum, and that's when I would use my 5 spin strategy. I hope this helps you. Questions? Uh, hey, Joe. Joe is a star in my podcast on one of them. Let's see. Let me. So if I go to podcast, show you. Oh, embarrassed. I don't want to embarrass Joe, but he can take it. So here is my professorslots.com/podcast. And if you go there and you see Joe right there, he's in episode 164. And Joe, did you see my attempt? Joe's a pilot, and I said, after a win, plan or just wing it. No? All right. Never mind. I tried. Somebody commented on my thumbnail and said it was gave a chuckle. So that one, what I just said was probably got a groan. Okay. Joe, after winning a fair amount on a machine, do you lower your bet until it starts paying again? No, I mean, I don't. There's a lot of things that you can try. I would hope that, you might find that it works. See, that one of the things is if the whole room got quiet and nobody left, then nobody's winning, like they were a few minutes ago. And so I would wait until that noise came back. But that's the hard part. What do you do? A security guard yelled at me for bringing a book one time. I'm like, "It's 200 years old. It's Jane Austen." I mean, not it's a paperback, but and, apparently didn't like literature. And, uh, so, yeah, um, if you're trying to get through a slow time when nobody's winning, I know somebody who makes minimum bets to get through a slow time, but he plays a game that takes longer to get an answer to the bet. And he in North Carolina, he plays video poker while he waits for the excitement to come back. And then because it's not like they have chairs unless you are a high enough tier member, which you might be, to go to the lounge. And otherwise, you have to find a chair that's at a machine. And some casinos are like, if you're not going to play, what da 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 da. So finding something to do while you wait for that sound to come back, you could play, but it seems to me a bit of a waste. It's your money. Mr. Boulevard is still here, and he says, "You're the best." Thank you. And I'm like, only if you like long explanations. Joe, what game has the most line hits for the small bankroll example, $300? The one on the end of the row. If you haven't been here before, and a lot of people haven't been here before, I don't think anything of game themes. There are some ways to play Lightning Link and whatever to sort of evaluate it. I think it's a waste. It's like what I was just talking about, where you're like, well, I win on this machine. Let me play it for a little while and see if it seems to be trending that way. I have better methods where you just kind of like pick the end of the machine on the end of the row if that casino does that, and why waste your money? There are advantage plays to machines. If you're a specialist, I call people who go after progressive jackpots a specialist. Then you could bet on the minimum jackpot for a progressive machine that is a progressive jackpot. Usually, minis and minors are just one number, $10, $50, and so they aren't progressive. But then the next one up for $200 might be slowly climbing. And then if it's close to the limit, which is a long story, and that's why it takes a specialist, then that's worthy of playing. You can sit down and have a chance pretty fast to win that. So I don't understand. Uh, what happens here is people think that games they like are games they win on, and it's two separate things. It's what you like, not why you win. Now, maybe you won on that type of game at some point. Maybe it was the end of the row. Maybe it was a highly visible area. It's not because of the game. It was because where it's located in the casino, or you did 5 spin method, or you did something else, not the game theme. It's what this is called is player appeal. I go to a casino and somebody says, and I find the dancing drums. I'm a dancing drum, kind of guy. And it's just like, wow, I have a fondness for Wheel of Fortune. You know why? Because I've had like 50 hand pays at one casino, and I'm like, yeah. So when I go to another casino and I see a Wheel of Fortune, do I run over and put all my money into it? No. It 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 wasn't because it was a Wheel of Fortune machine. Anyway, that's a way that you can randomize your return. That's the way, just to play any old machine, that or play the same machine at any casino, and that's how you lose, because you're randomizing your play. Just to go a little bit further, if there is a row of identical slot machines, they're not identical. They don't have the same odds. So play the one on the end that can be seen down the aisle. Thank me later. Okay. Yeah. I like to make database decisions. Art and Tina White say Belterra in Cincinnati has been terrible lately. Yes, we just looked at the odds from the beginning of 2021, and it's a provable fact that it's been terrible lately. No opinion necessary. It's data driven decision making. MB Holmes, is it true or a myth that the only time you have any control over a slot machine results is during a bonus? It- you don't have any control over a bonus. Everything that you think you decide was decided for you back at the bet. When you push the button, everything was figured out. So if you get to some point where you have to choose coins that uncover how much you're going to win, that was chosen for you. It was the number that the machine chose was put under the symbol that you touch. Now, it's still fun. I mean, it's like my trying to explain real machines like years ago when I would say, how it kind of like almost comes to it, like the first one, second one, oh, 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 and then it just misses the last one. Oh, so close. No, no, that was always going to be the answer. They just turn the reels to make it entertaining. Slow it right down and missed it. and it's fun. Uh, I for some people they're like, oh, don't tell me how. There's this expression. Have you heard it? Don't tell me how the sausage is made. I just like my sausage the way I like my sausage. Don't tell me the gooey bits no, no, no. And so you're here to find out. There was never any control. It's not how slot machines work. Now, if you're on a class 2 bingo machine or if you're on a video poker machine, then your decision to pick the cards, that's part of the game. That's why it's called a skill-based game. You get choices. But in class 3 games, they're called games of chance. And that's games of chance. No, there's no skill. No way to have skill. It's all decided for you. So I'm going to assume that hashtag is, is shortened from hashtag question. Okay. I'm in Texas, so our nearest casino is a tribal in Oklahoma. Sure. They actually do not open until 11 a.m. each day. So I'm not sure your early morning day after the holiday will work. What do you think? Um, check. Actually, there are some people who don't mind getting up early. But there are others, like, I get up 4 o'clock. I mean, I got, like, a 2-hour drive. What are you asking me to do? And so you can get to that casino when it opens. All you need to know is, was it busy the night before? And then I would go 3 times when it opens at a convenient hour, at a convenient hour. And, it might be a little harder for you to win the jackpot because there might be a crowd coming in at 11. But I mean, that kind of hurts. It lowers your chances because it could go to somebody else. Where at 4 o'clock in the morning, how many other people are there? Serious question, because if you're in Hard Rock, Tampa, there's lots of people. Yamava in California, lots of people. But Belterra Park, not so many. Yeah, and I would go 3 times because how this works, and I'll mention this because we're coming up on Memorial Day. I'll mention this in a little bit, how to what this strategy is and where to find it and where to, listen for 8 minutes and, but it can not work for a couple of reasons. One, they might not have it. Again, my strategies are counter strategies. And if the casino doesn't have that system in place, which they need to do a financial accounting balance, then you can't take advantage of it if they don't have it. So if you go and you don't see anybody winning and you don't win yourself, okay, it's possible they don't have it. But it's also possible that they did it right. I mean, if they only do that accounting balance if, they need it, and they work very hard to try to not need it. But, when you make $1.8 billion, give back 90% of it, so you make $180 million a month in a medium-sized Indiana casino. Well, it's hard to get it down. They might have to give out a $20,000 jackpot in the high limit room. They gave me a $27,000 one, and whoever was behind me was over 10,000. At 5:10 in the morning on a Tuesday, I think it was. After no, it was not Tuesday. It was like the morning after, sometime busy. It was anyway. The details are in my book, but when that happens, uh, um, uh, there's a possibility that they got it right. There's a possibility they don't have it, and so I like to go 3 times because they're not likely to get it right 3 times in a row. And if you don't see anybody win or win yourself 3 times in a row, then that means they don't have it. So again, my strategies are counter strategies. You go, you see if they have what's necessary in their operating system for my counter strategies to counter that thing, which can't be countered if they don't have it. It's amazing. I found what was it? Louisiana Downs racetrack with slot machines in St. Charles area, and they didn't have anything. It was like bushes in front of the entrance to the high limit room, so you couldn't see machines from a distance. They weren't viewable. There was no slot machines capping the ends of the rows out in the casino floor. Like, there's no big intersection. They're all the same. All straight aisles, and it's just. I was like, they aren't doing anything. Therefore, I don't have anything that I can try because I can't take advantage if they're not doing it, right? And, try to get your mind around that. New thoughts, right? And so, but then they renovated very recently. I was there last year in March, and with Jan, who may or may not be here, and sometimes she is, and she's in Texas and goes to NASCAR, but she told me, and I read an article about all the renovations they're doing. They took down the plastic sheets that separated them from the uh, blocked the noise to the people walking by to go to the racetrack, so they weren't disturbed by that. And they've changed up the floor plan, so it's all these other things that are going on. And now there are things that you can take advantage of because they're trying to take advantage. And then I'm just like, do this, do this, do this, do this. So I'd love to go back and write that up for everybody, but I can't go to every casino. There's it's math. If I went to 2 casinos a week and I went to, every week to 2 casinos this whole year, how many years would it take me to go to all the casinos? It would take me 10 years to go to all 1,000 casinos. I can't do that. Um, why do I even have a home? Right. Question from Jingwok. I think I remember you from before. Do you know if casinos use jackpot limits as a way of controlling the action without changing the actual payback percentage? I see on other channels, most of the machines can have limits set. One of the things that's happening is there's a lot of progressives, and any progressive could be set up that way. It's kind of like they can be set up to have a must hit buy. They can be set up to, and I'll expand this from progressive slot machines. They can set up to have a must hit buy, so they must pay out before they get to a certain amount. We don't know what that amount is unless they actually say, and they do on some machines, they'll say right there what it is. And so you try to drive it over that amount, which is the specialist slot enthusiast who likes progressives. But if it's too far to go, it's sometimes not worth putting that much money into the machine. When you put money into the machine, all the progressives increase. Bigger progressives are different progressive jackpots can be closer to the limit that's posted, and others be further away. So you don't go after all the progressives, you go after one of the progressives. And you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to, if you spend as much money as it looks like it's going to take, will you make a profit? And if you're not going to make a profit, don't do it. But that's one way how progressives can be set up. The other way is what you're talking about, which is cap it. So it was progressive, and then it reached a number, and then it stopped. The additional amount that went into the progressive to be given back to the player, that's being kept by the casino now. And so it's just sort of shifted it away from the progressive to going into the coffers of the casino. And the third way is it never stops. It just climbs and climbs like megabucks, not megabucks. The Powerball lottery. Well, nobody won, so next time it's going to be bigger. That sort of thing. And so what you're talking about, that applies to one type of progressive machines. But you are saying without changing the actual, well, that would actually be changing the actual. But you may not know that there's an actual, which is the slot machine results. And if it's not winning, then those decrease in the state reports. And the other number is theoretical payout, which is a setting on the machine, which is what you might have meant. And one of the things people don't seem to understand is you can set the theoretical payout to whatever number. And it does require certain things in the state gaming regulations, but there's like 15 different settings that can be used for the same theoretical payout. How do I put this? It could pay out a lot, rarely. It could pay out a little all the time. And so either one of those and all the different places in between would be a theoretical payout of the same value. So what they could do is just change it so that any win would be big, but it won't be for years. And that's perfectly legitimate. That's perfectly, fine to do. There's a few states that have set it up so you kind of can't do that according to the gaming regs, and a lot of others were like, "Huh, what?" So they're like, Were we supposed to protect people from that?" And so, yeah, yeah. Question: when going to a brand new, just built casino, is it better to start in high limit or start on the regular floor? Um, what you want to do is okay. So what you want to all these interruptions. What you want to do is uh, see how it goes. You will have time. If you're at a new casino, you should have at least a month to find out what's going on. So walk in and assess it. Okay, see if people are winning, and if they are, if your jackpot allows it, go to the high limit room. If people are not winning, back away, and really, I don't want people to spend money they don't have, and high limit costs money, because you have to be able to comfortably afford whatever you bring to the casino, comfortably afford to lose whatever you bring to the casino. That's my golden rule. So, uh, check it out and then make your own decision. Uh, as table game players know, go to new casinos because they're not fully trained. And so when they do something at the table game that you're at, which hurts you, raise your hand. And when they do something that benefits you, mum's the word. Nobody at the table say anything. And that way you get an unfair advantage, but it's legal because they did it. If it's slot machines, they are trying to in a new casino they can they're trying to set up a a, uh, a market, particularly if there's no casino in the area, if it was a cornfield. And so sometimes the new casino is like that and not part of an establishment. And there's a lot of ifs here, and sort ofs. That's why every state is different, and that sort of thing matters. And that's why I have consultations, and that's why I answer emails. But because everybody's got a certain thing going on. But if you want, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you go to professorslots.com/27, if you go to my website anywhere, and I will, well, maybe not on that page. It's got got 165. Maybe if I, well, we're almost there. You go to the footer. The footer's coming up. Footer's coming up. There it is. There's the footer. And if you, I think it's kind of covered by your question. If you go to this, as featured on 27 News, if you click on that, it's a short 8-minute video. It's ABC Channel 27, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, talking about their local Penn National and how the odds have never been better, except for when it just opened. And for decades after that, it was just not that good. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about. Okay. And that's where you can find it. Everything kind of move forward. So if you have a moment, please like this video so we can get even more people to come in. That's what YouTube takes as a signal to come back in. So there you are. Union Betty. This is Frank. Hi, Frank. Was wondering what your opinion is about fast tapping. That's all I ever do. Bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop, bet, stop, as fast as I could possibly go. And people around me would just be like, you know, uh, you get a lot of like Wheel of Fortune spins. And I'm like, well, I made like 3 times as many bets as you. Also, it makes me really skilled at slot tournaments, as fast as I can. That's all I do. Um, I have gone so long doing as fast as possible that my arm has gotten tired and I've had to switch hands. And that should tell you something. Um, Also, when is in the bonus and I have a choice between 5 different choices. I it doesn't matter. All that was decided when you made the bet. So whatever the amount was that was chosen that you would receive, you'll get whichever choice you make. It is fun though. Player appeal. With the blackjack slot tables in Las Vegas, using the same rules as the blackjack tables games would using blackjack basic strategy and the blackjack table work the same as it does on the tables. Uh, um, so just so everybody knows, there is a regulation in Nevada that means that says very clearly, Regulation 14.040, paragraph 5 on page 9 of the Nevada Revised Code, very clearly states video machines based on a table game have the odds of the table game. Done. I mean, I think I use like an extra word or something. It's just locked in. And that means video poker, video roulette, video craps, video keno, any physical game that's turned into a video machine in the future. That's what happens. I haven't found that regulation outside of Nevada, and I've looked plenty. So, but you're asking about Nevada. So this is a video poker question. And so, go to Bob Dancer, read his book. What you are trying to do is, how do I put this? I have an example, which is, do you play golf? I saw this movie one time, and this gentleman was like, I play golf, and I got a decent handicap, but then I wanted to play video golf, and I'm not sure. I seem to be terrible at it. And the young man who was instructing him said, well, first thing you got to do is realize that on the video game, it's not golf. So, yes, they are simulating a game. As it happens, I was a adjunct professor, and that's where Professor Slots comes from. And one of the courses that I would teach at the University of New Haven was system simulation. And I hope I'm not, putting everybody in the deep end. I won't start speaking in calculus. If you see something like a table game, you have to have, if you want to understand it and model it and simulate it and make a video game, that you have to do exactly that. You have to look at it, you have to figure out the math, and then you have to program it, which is the simulation. So real world, math, simulation. And there's errors and approximations and differences between each. And you had to do it twice. So how good is the simulation to a table game? You tell me. Are you playing 500 games at once? What does that mean? There are things you can do on a video game where, yes, the odds are the same, but you're playing many different games, you're switching back and forth. There's a lot more going on. And maybe one of those things is an advantage. Hey, Jan. Jan is here. Texas Tootsie. Janice says, thank you. I went to the casino yesterday and used your advice on high traffic area slots, won a $3,700 hand pay. Thank you. You're very welcome. I hope that you were able to get out of the casino with it. And yep, people are talking to one another, and I don't see a hashtag question. Please use a hashtag question. A lot of people are talking to one another about various things, but Relic Digger 777 says, "Can you explain horse racing machines? I go to a gambling hall and I feel like I'm playing against the machine and against the horse race. Feel like I'm playing against the machine and against the horse race." Um, so let me explain a few things that a floor manager at Derby City explained to me about HHR machines, historic horse racing machines. It's not a race, it's 30 races, 23, 30, 36 historic races where they use, this number horse for this line and this line. It's like the real machine where you have 300 credits on a penny machine. It's Each one of those is a whole heck of a lot of horse races, and it isn't it, it's it's a mix. And so I just want you to understand it's many, many horse race on every bet. And so there's a lot of data. You can even use horse races from Europe as long as the rules are set, and parimutuel racing rules are old and they are applied everywhere, and so you can often do that. And Mexico, Europe, wherever this historically, it's records that went back, and so that's what they have as a database. And I also want to mention historic horse racing will come to a casino near you. Kentucky was a test case. They started in Arkansas, did great. They put it in Kentucky, which historically, even to this day, says slot machines are prohibited. Oh, but you can play horse racing games all year round, even during the snow when we don't race horses. No, that's great. And Wyoming has found them to be great for the horse racing industry because it is a year-long event. They don't have a season. And so that change is big. Um, what else can I explain about it? If you are at it, at a slot machine, and you look under the game rules, they'll talk a lot about it's hard to understand, but if you understand it's many, many, many races on a bet, then you begin to understand that's what you're looking at when they talk about all these the line bets where it's straight across, diagonally, this diagonally, that diagonally, and then all the different paths across the like on the real machines. Although video machines are fine too. They even have video poker. I mean, it's not based on Nevada rules, and you want to do the best you can on optimizing play, but it's also a HHR machine. It's something that's spreading. It's quietly spreading, but in a big, big way. I hope I answered that well enough for you. Some people say that it's a class 2 machine, class 3. It's horse racing. Class 1 is tribal ceremonies. Class 2 is competition style. Class 3 is everything else. And state by state, they have to decide, is this class 2 because a jockey rode the horse? Or is it class 3 because it falls under everything else? Other states disagree about video poker. Speaking of video poker, Indiana decided that it's a class 2 uh, uh, skill-based game. And other states are like, what? And then, and then I think it was Nebraska was like, it's not even gambling. So yeah, it's permitted. Otherwise, we don't. All gambling is prohibited, but you can play poker because it's not gambling. It's just like the weirdest thing. Good question, Shorty. Do you feel high limit rooms have more hand pays? Of course. it has less um, non-hand pays, right? I mean, you win a cherry on a $100 denomination machine. Is that a hand pay? Maybe two cherries, and it's more often going to happen, and that is not to be trusted because when you see hand pays, they take a while and they're noticeable and people can see it. But if you win $1,000 on a low limit machine, you can just tap that button. There's no roll up, no ding, 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 ding for 15 minutes. It's just like nobody saw it. And so it is a noticeable event. And so I wouldn't say, if you were saying, would there be more wins on high limit slots versus low limit slots? The statistics say no. Um, and Beverly says, do you tap as fast as you can on those first 5 on a machine? Yes. I do go a little bit slower because all I do is I don't watch the screen. I have to sometimes look for it, but I have to find where is the win window, because anything at all, if it shows up in that window, I'm out. So I'm like, bet, stop, bet, stop, bet. Oh, okay, out. Makes sense? Pause long enough to make sure that I don't do 5 bets. I do as many as it takes to get the first win. And sometimes that's the first bet. So that's what I watch for, and it takes just a fraction of a bit longer. And then I'm pulling my card out, printing the voucher, standing up, looking around, what's the next machine, and do all that. This is a way to sort of help a lot of people who have like this gotta bet sort of thing. It slows them down, gives them a breath, and maybe even a little exercise. Decal, good to see you. Followed another method yesterday, 5-spin, and got out of the machine, went to another, took $60, 180, walked out with 140. Paid for my barbecue this weekend, smoked ribs. Oh man. Well, I guess I am in Cincinnati and I can get some good smoked ribs if I want to. But if you're doing a brisket, then I'm just like, thanks for letting me know. Congratulations. How did you get so smart? Have you always been interested in knowledge-based information? I will say something that I've used as a joke for a long time. If you are looking right there, that's my 8 college degrees. So what I will tell people is I'm not smart. I'm educated. It's a fact that I'm educated. Right there are the right there are the degrees. It's a fact I'm educated. It's an opinion I'm smart. And usually people go, "Oh, that's so smart." And I'm like, practice, 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 degree after degree after degree. I have an interest. Um, I have some skill at certain things. One of those things is I'm not as good with people as I am with machines. And if there's anything that I use, it's that. Yeah, I'm kind of what's called a geek, maybe, or is it? What is it? There's geek, and then there's something. All those words mean similar things, but uh, I I focus on something, and that's what I do. Like if it takes me 10 years to get good at it, then it takes me 10 years to get good at it. I don't mind. Shorty wants to rephrase this question, their question. I know they will have more hand pays due to bet. Do you feel they make their percentage uh, payout up in those more so than the regular 4? Don't ask me what I feel. Go look at the data. What's the win percents? There are 6 states that have return statistics by slot machine denomination. Go see what the order is. I found that the best playing, uh, uh, denominations, there's usually one lower limit of all the lower limits that's the best, and there's one upper limit out of all the upper limits that's best, and I compare those 2 and see which one of those 2. So either, when I went through this several times now, I went to all 6 return statistics by slot machine denomination. Half of them had the best return being a low limit slot. One of them, not all of them, one of them. And half of them, 3 of them, had high limits, not all of them, one of them having the best return. Evenly divided right there in the data. It's a little hard to kind of, you can go to your state by going to professorslots.com/2-letter abbreviation for your postal designation for your state. It'll take you to my slots article, which I spent years on polishing them and expanding them, and now they're just watching for changes. Like Arizona got their compact updated because they're trying to be more competitive with Nevada. So and they're trying to be Las Vegas, and I'm like, ooh, that's not a good idea, but that's their choice. So go there, and it will tell you if your state that you're interested has that, and you can go collect, pull from. I provide the link to the gaming commission, and you can find out yourself. I also have. Did I write an article on that? I think I wrote an article, but it's kind of like out of date information. That's how I knew that. But check recently. Joe, if I'm only in Vegas 6 days, how am I going to test the machines once a week at the same time? Like you said, absolutely, you can't. I go to a new to me casino every month. I was doing it for every other weekend, but then I kind of like ran out of travel funds because travel funds got more expensive. So now I try to do it once a month, and I've been redoing the local ones like Belterra Park, just trying to cut down on costs. It's all so expensive. Not what I spend, but just getting there, and I have a budget because I have a business, and traveling is expensive. When I go to a new to me casino and write a report to evaluate it, to review it for you guys and find the machines that I can win on, I can only use my strategies that, I can use at the time. I can't come back a week later. And so I don't know if they have those strategies because I'm not coming back a week later. But if they have location, 5-spin strategy, and all the other things I can do, well, that's pretty good. Oh, and Vegas has the 5-spin method. Remember, it's a 2-step process. First step, do they have high limits, or do they have tastes? The second part is, did you make money? So Las Vegas does a lot of turning it up and turning it down over the weekend. They turn it down. I'm not saying you can't win, but it's harder. But during the week, it turned up because the Californians come to visit on holidays during the week, like this coming Monday, so it's not a good time. You have to be more careful. But then during the week, they like their locals, and they're people that they want to continue to support, and so they let them win a little better during the week, and they turn it up during the week, and they turn it down during the weekends, including part of Monday and part of Friday as a weekend, because that's basically when Californians come to visit, like on Monday. So yeah, sometimes you can't try it. So there's definitely confirmations of my being a geek. I'm counting the number of times. Okay. Yep. Uh, a geek for you. Yamava gives me 220 a week in free play and never seem to win using my free play. Is that on purpose by the casino? There are, they certainly understand when you're using free play. Uh, I haven't been able to identify whether it's better or it's worse. I think it's a casino by casino thing. If you have free play, you drove 100 miles to go to the casino, they would want you to win. It's like the reason they have the 5 spin strategy, right? They want you to win, so you spend all the money you brought with you and get more. So, but not every casino has a 5 spin strategy, and so maybe Yamava doesn't. They did a lot of renovation lately, and there's so many people that go. It's kind of like what I was told by a technician at my last job. You're like a hand, an arm in a bucket of water. Pull your hand out, and where your arm was fills in so fast that it's like you weren't even there. And then I got laid off. So just being a little bleak for me. And so if you go to Yamava, you know, they know that you're not a hard won patron, that you could easily be replaced. And I don't like that attitude. And we have a visitor. I don't like that attitude, but sometimes they do that. So say hello, Emil. Tell them how you are named after the scientist who invented. No, just the tail. Okay, there we are. There's the tail. Now he's behind me. We don't often get visitors. We normally get naps over there on the couch. Okay, so to answer that question, it's what they decide, but it's not like they decide this and then this and then this and then this. If they are not letting you win with free play, then they will continue to not let you win with free play because that's their policy. If they're letting you win with free play because they think that's a way to kind of get you to spend more money, which it is, but maybe they just don't need players to do that there because they for other reasons, then that was just to get you in. Once you're in, great. They're done. Don't let you win anything. You might take it and leave. So that it's two different business decisions, and it sounds like they've made the second one. Yeah. Question: when a commercial casino opens up, do they take business away from tribal casinos? Oh, there are flat out wars going on. I mean, I know we have wars in the world, so I probably shouldn't say that. But my goodness, are they like MGM particularly is just trying to keep business going at MGM Springfield, but more I think it's Maryland Live, I think they own, and they're just trying to prevent casinos opening up in Virginia because it's a drivable distance. And if they could just, block the tribal casino that wants to open in Virginia and just like put any, talk to the senators, put up any, I think there's like city rules that blocked construction permits, it's really whatever. There's a lot of that going on all over the place. Oh my goodness. So yes, if there is an established community of casinos in a state, they would prevent any others from opening up. And that includes tribal letting commercial casinos come in, but also commercial casinos preventing tribal to come in. Eventually, I think we'll get to where Iowa is. Iowa is unique. There is a casino within 1 hour of every Iowan. It's what's called a market saturation. It's done. That's all there is. People are betting as much money as they have to spend on gambling. That's maxed out. It's like tuition, it can only go so high. And then the casino's like, well, it's all we've whatever the market will bear, and we found out what the market would bear, and that's it. So every other state hasn't gotten to where Iowa is, but it's a good example of where it's all going. So the second part of your question, I heard Texas was thinking about 4 locations. If that happens, would Woodstar be done? Oh, no, 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 no. What happened to Las Vegas after, they started in 1935, and then in 1972, 73, Atlantic City opened. Was Las Vegas over? No, it hurt, but it wasn't over. And then was Atlantic City hurt by all of the tribal casinos opening up and down the East Coast? Uh, yeah, actually, they were hurt pretty bad. They made a comeback in 2018, sorta. It's kind of holding, but then we had the pandemic, so and so yeah, what you're talking about is the gaming industry. I mean, I wrote every 56 articles because we have 50 states, but we also have a federal district and we got 5 US territories, some of them in the South Pacific, Guam, American Samoa, all that. But and Puerto Rico and etc. But if some of these are big gambling destinations, Northern Mariana Islands, it was just like, wow, what a destination for gambling. But if you go to my articles on this, that's what I had to find out was how unique each state is. And so, yes, people with casinos are banding together in Oklahoma to pay, what is it, lobbyists to work in Texas to make sure they don't have any of that. There's because it's competition and lost money. That's certainly the first thing you do. I just find it amazing. A year before MGM Springfield opened in Massachusetts, the casinos in Connecticut, too tribal, they didn't prevent MGM Springfield from opening, but they knew a year in advance that construction had begun and it would be opening. So because Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods have competed with one another for so many years that Foxwoods at one point before I want to say Megastar, but that's not it. WinStar opened that. Foxwoods made itself the second largest casino in the country, in the world. And and then they banded together, Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods banded together to fight MGM Springfield. And how they did that was, and I was there, lived in Connecticut for a few years and all that, and had some friends there and learned about what was going on. You could not believe the kind of promotions that were being given out to players a year before MGM Springfield left to build loyalty in the players so they wouldn't drive 30 miles north across the border and play in MGM Springfield, because it's just so beautiful for a year before it happened. They banded together, and Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods did that. And MGM Springfield, there was a podcast that was about it. They had such high hopes. I don't remember if the general manager, after a year of it being open, was fired or if he was just reprimanded terribly. You did a terrible job from MGM International, MGM Resorts International. They were just like, how could you do this badly? And he's like, I don't know what happened. Because the tribal casinos to the south, build up loyalty. That's one thing you can do. It's perfectly legal, right? Just costs money. I think that other companies trying to put in legal blockages in city ordinances, I kind of question some of that. Union Betty. This is a strategy I've used before. At a $1 machine, I'll play max bet. Then I use my watch and wait 15 minutes, then bet again. So every minute I spend up to $20 per minute. Sure. That, we were talking about loss limits, and I was just trying to not give you loss limits because there's so many like this that are excellent and people practice and get better at. So, um, just making sure that there's nothing happening. Okay. Yeah. So that's a loss limit. A lot of people don't realize that a style of play is their loss limit. Putting in $20 only at a time, and then moving on when that's over. How if they win $300 and moving on when that's over. It's all spend that $20 and whatever I win with it, and that's a loss limit method. And do they know that? No. Do they use it? Yeah. um, Randy is. Are you talking to somebody else? The effect of Las Vegas on the weekends being bad and the weeks being good is something for Nevada. I found it's true in Reno, and I suspect it's true in Wendover and the other states. Verde and Jackpot is the name of a city on the borders to the neighboring bordering states, and that seems to be something that Nevada does. But if you try at Biloxi and find this, please let me know. Yeah, Nevada gives people ideas. They established themselves first, 1935, and then for 80 years they've been helping out other states. So who knows what they've picked up? Other states have picked up from Nevada's example, and I wish I knew how long this has been going on. The reports from casinos in Nevada to the Nevada Gaming Commission are weekly, and then the Nevada Gaming Commission reports them to the public monthly. And we would have to actually have reports daily, and they don't do that. I mean, they do it internally, but they don't report to the Gaming Commission. So Gaming Commission is not, I'm sure they're not idiots, but on the other hand, they don't have data to prove it. Yep. And yeah. Let's see, questions. Shorty. Where is your favorite place to get away to vacation and gamble? Vacation and gamble? When I'm on vacation, I'm not working. But it's okay. I don't take vacations. I take vacations about every 6 years, and I'm a couple years from that. I love my job. I love being an aerospace engineer. I love being a professor. I loved teaching, and I love this job. So I don't get tired. I enjoy this, but it's good to take a break. I like to go for a drive, and usually along like a scenic route, at these highways that are scenic. That's something that I've enjoyed for a vacation, and yeah, that's good. I had a Jeep. I won a car at a casino, and I took the money and I bought a Jeep for $30,000. I got a $40,000 cash option at Belterra Park in Ohio, and then I bought a $30,000 brand new Jeep Wrangler 4-door, put the top down, convertible, and that was so nice. That was so nice, just to drive. But then I go out to new casinos and have fun doing that, record in the parking lot, that sort of thing. Um, 15 seconds. Okay, Union Medi. I appreciate that, Frank. Slot Savvy PK. Pamela says, "What is your favorite casino in Vegas on this trip and off?" Um, that's the one place I've gone for vacation. I enjoy Mandalay Bay. I don't go there a lot. I don't go to Las Vegas a lot, and I go on the 4th of July, which is when all of California shows up. So I learned my lesson. This is how I can tell you about the, whole, weekend thing because I learned my lesson. I went to 8 different high limit rooms on the Las Vegas Strip, spent $500 in each of them, and $4,000 total, and, it wasn't until I got to Mandalay Bay that I walked up to the counter at the high limit room and said, "You guys getting any hand pays?" And he said, "Oh, about 12 so far." "Oh, look, there's another one." And I was like, "Oh, I should have started here." Yeah, it's a little bit too many people for me, and but I love the food and people watching. It's kind of a vacation town for me, and I don't usually gamble when I'm vacationing. Yeah, I mean, when I'm on a cruise, I'll go to the casino, but mostly just sort of check it out for you guys and write about it when I get back, that sort of thing. Yeah, I do love what I do. Uh, so yes, um, and okay, uh, so we've talked for an hour and a half, or rather, I talked for 20 minutes and now answered questions for an hour and 10 minutes. Uh, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to save my voice. I have hours yet to talk today, miles to go before I sleep. Yeah, yeah. The joke I was saying at the time was, I'm not a Mercedes kind of guy. I'm a Jeep Wrangler kind of guy. Yeah, yeah. My, I was remembered for having won. I went. It was Belterra Park. They had this event. I've been figuring out the 5 spin method there and, uh, you know, but before that, I was even trying to use a Horseshoe Cincinnati at the time before it became a jacks, and then it became, now it's a Hard Rock, but I was trying to figure out, I was trying to use what I had learned at one casino at another casino, and now I tell you don't do that. But so I was spending money, but I was making it at the first casino and spending it at the second casino. And then found out that all that money that I had spent was being turned over a 3-month period into drawings for a car. And so I was like, how many drawings do I have so far? And I think it was 271 drawings, some ridiculous number because I'd spent like $70,000, but one more. and, and I just decided that I would, um, uh, I was like, that's pretty good odds. It's almost like 0.5% when I started figuring it out. And so it was a 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock event. No, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock event. They'd have a drawing on the hour and on the half hour. They would call 2 people, and I couldn't really hear anything. You had to put your card in a machine sometime in the last half hour to be eligible for the drawing. So you had to be there. So and that's going to be important in a minute. And so I went in and I, before 5 o'clock, and I sat down in the lounge because, I was second to top tier and I couldn't hear. They didn't have it turned up very much, but I went out 5 minutes after that first drawing at 5 o'clock, and it was all over by that point, but the car hadn't been won. And I was like, hmm. And so the first drawing, they have one logo on a big spinning wheel with like 15 different locations with posts between them, and all standing up, and it's like 10 feet tall. And so at 5:30 they put a second logo, so that later in the evening, also another important point, later in the evening there would be more people, more logos and more people, and so see what happens. I won it at the 5:30 drawing. I decided that I couldn't hear it in the lounge. I put my card into a machine, and there was like a little clearing where there is now, where the ATM machine is next to the sports bar. Anyway, there's kind of like a clearing there was, and they put some machines there now. And I stood on one end and then was on the other end, and they were, with their microphone and their laptop and the wheel all there, and they were kind of like looking at me. I'm there like 10 minutes after 5, and they're like looking at me, and I'm like, don't mind me. I'm just standing over here. And they called my name at 5:30, and I walked over, and they said, "Can we help you? You just called my name. Can we see some ID?" And then they said, "Spin this wheel." And I was like, I don't know if you know, I'm an aerospace engineer, and what I do involves turning a wheel. It's PhD level to do inspections with probes and underwater and all that, but it's very important non-destructive evaluation stuff that I was doing, and so I knew how to turn a wheel, fast, slow, heavy, light. So I was just like, don't think about it. Just grab the wheel and pulled it. And I stepped back, and it felt like a good pull to me. And so we waited, and it turned, a bunch of times. And then it's, slowing down the whole time, tick, 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 slowing down the whole time. And then I, it's like slowing down, and it was like halfway to go. And I'm like, it's going to land on the half of the wheel, which has a logo. It's gonna be close. And then it went into the, slowed down, and then went in the long whisker, like this long, 12 inches, went in, dropped into that slot with the logo, and then started riding up, on how to do this. Anyway, the whisker started riding up the next post, but slowing down even more. And then the woman who was next to me was just like, "Aw," and I looked at her like, I'm watching this. And it stopped at like half an inch from flipping into the next bin, which had like a monetary award and a couple $100 or something, and it stopped. And then the pressure on it drove it back in, and she looked at me and said, "You want a car?" And I'm like, I know. And then they had me sign something, and I found out how messy my signature was because of all the adrenaline pumping through my body. And my host came running from her buffet meal, just left it behind, and he won, and ran across the casino and helped me and all of that. And yeah, that's. But the point I wanted to make was, the next day I went to another event at the other casino, standing in line, the premier line, and tier 1 status, with the other people. And people started looking at me. You're him, aren't you? Because we came at 9 o'clock and the car was already given away. What the heck? And I'm like, we okay here, guys? So and so being remembered after being right, being being remembered after having won is one of those things that can happen. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'll wish you all a very happy Memorial Day weekend. So okay, that's it. And thank you for a wonderful live stream. My voices still exist, so that's good. You'll see me on my next live stream on Saturday at noon Eastern. Yes, I know it's Memorial Day weekend, but whoever shows up, that'll be fine. And since Monday is Memorial Day, I highly recommend watching this video on how to win early Tuesday morning if lots of slots players visited the casino the night before. So watch this video, please.